It's time for number 21 in my series of comic book movie reviews, coming off the backs of the badass Conan movies, which, apparently, that don't mean a damn thing. Red Sonja is the 1985 comic book adaptation brought to us by the director of the last Conan movie, Richard Fleschner. But Fleschner's not the only Conan alum back. We've also got Sandahl Bergman and Arnold Schwarzenegger as completely different characters, but whatever. They're back! Oh yeah, and also unknown Bridget Nelson as the title character, Red Sonja. The fearless warrior, Red Sonja, sets out to avenge her family's murder and rid her kingdom from the tyrannical rule of Queen Gidran. Okay, so I know it's been a while for this weekly review series I set up, 4 months to be exact, but the reason for that would be, after watching this movie, honestly, I just really didn't want to fucking talk about it. That and I had some other things going on in life, but really, that's the main reason. I just didn't want to talk about this fucking movie. But I promised that I would review every single comic book movie ever made, and Red Sonja is one of those movies. So here I am. So can Red Sonja live up to the awesomeness that was the Conan movies that came before it? Well, if you hadn't guessed, no, it can't. But let's talk about it anyway. We open with a really dull fucking crawl across a beautiful landscape that proclaims this is how the legend began. It is also how the legend ended, because this movie bombed like a motherfucker, bringing in $6.9 million on a $17.5 million budget. And I don't care what year you came from, that's a whole lot of fucking money that was lost. But money's not everything. Maybe it had bad marketing. Maybe the movie's all... Okay, we know it's fucking not. I'll just stop all that shit. This movie fucking sucks, okay? If we go ahead and clear that up front, I think it'll make this whole entire process a lot easier. We switch over to a house or village or something just being burned to the ground, and a young woman laying on the ground. We learn that this is Sonja, presumably the Sonja of the red variety, because we start hearing her name being chanted. Sonja! Sonja! And Sonja's fairy godmother shows up to let us know that the evil Queen Gidran is the one who burned her house down, because she apparently wanted Sonja for herself, and then since she couldn't have her, she ordered her men to kill Sonja's family, burn the house down, and rape her. What? You want somebody, you can't have them, so you order a bunch of fucking people to rape them? Not to mention the fact that the movie just kind of glosses over that whole thing. She just says her men had her way with you, and then moves on to the next fucking thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, a little bit of rape, and let's move on. Might I also point out that even though Sonja is having questionably the worst day of her fucking life, and her family's just been murdered, her home has been burned down, and she's been ravaged by countless men, that fucking 80s glam with that hair is fucking going on. Girl, you do you. Sonja gonna look good no matter what the situation is. So the blue fairy informs Sonja that her sword arm must have no equal, aka your pimp hand is strong. And we never see this fucking character again, and the movie jumps right into it. So from there, we switch over to an epic landscape and get 2 minutes of Kaladar, more on that in a minute, riding a horse in the Red Sonja movie. So while we're waiting for those credits to roll, let's talk about director Richard Fleschner. Fleschner over the years has brought us such greats as 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Soylent Green, Tora Tora Tora, and many, many more. So my question is, what the fuck happened? I mean, really, what the fuck happened? How do you go from Tora Tora Tora, 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and all that other stuff to fucking Red Sonja? Fleschner directed Conan the Destroyer 1 year earlier, and Amityville 3D a year before that. So we can kind of see the trajectory of his career at this point. Subsequently, he only directed one more movie after this, the poorly received tie-in Gladlock trash bag movie, $1 Million Mystery, aka Money Mania. Yeah, he made a trash bag tie-in movie, and it holds an impressive 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess that movie was less hefty cinch sack and more wimpy. And yes, his trash bag tie-in movie was a trash fire. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the jokes write themselves. So after seeing Beefcake Schwarzenegger ride around on a horse for 2.5 minutes, we get to see the female Knights of the Round Table protecting the fucking Lochnar from heavy metal. We get these weird looking priest chicks with some crazy headgear, and you'll find that crazy headgear in this movie is a thing. I mean, it was the 80s, so I guess they needed some like crazy big headgear to cover up all that poof. The queen of the epic headgear asks stoic sword chick where someone is.
Varna. Where is the Lord of Hibernia?
And did she say Eternia? Is Prince Adam coming? Crossover, motherfuckers! I mean, seriously, how fucking awesome would a Schwarzenegger He-Man movie be? I have the power! What the fuck? So apparently they are performing some type of ritual here where they're going to cast the Lochnar down into the middle of the earth or in the darkness or something so it can't harm anybody else. Now, I don't have a problem with that, that's fine, but my only question is, with all these motherfuckers that you got in here doing this thing, you have this all-powerful thing that clearly bad guys are going to want, and you're about to cast it into the shadows, destroy it forever, get rid of it. Obviously, someone's gonna want to get their hands on it. Couldn't leave one motherfucker out there to be a lookout. Well, hindsight's 20/20, motherfucker, and they're gonna wish that they had, because the Mongols have arrived, or I guess that's who they are. They never really say exactly who they are, they just say who the queen is. They don't really go into detail as to who this army is or where she got it, but it's the Mongols with epic headdress. And once inside, the epic bloodless battle between dollar store Amazonians and dollar store Mongols ensues. Now, I say bloodless because mostly it is, but there are odd, weird flourishes of like blood splatter here or there. But this movie, much like Conan the Destroyer, was toned down from its original vision, that vision being something closer to the original Conan that was pretty fucking violent. However, unlike Conan the Destroyer, which, while they said they toned it down, was bloody as all fuck, this movie, not so much. I don't really get it. Take this battle, for instance. The vast majority of it is comically bloodless. But then you have this head priestess character, and there's just fucking blood everywhere, but she was hit with like a fucking midget throwing star. Can I say midget? I don't think I'm supposed to say that. Now, while this action scene, and really just this movie as a whole so far, is not really impressing me, I do have to say there is one thing about it that is pretty good, and that would be the amazing score by Ennio Morricone. But that really shouldn't surprise anyone, because Morricone can't really go wrong. The guy just hits it out of the park every time. I'm more interested in how they actually convinced him to score this movie, because, I don't know, maybe composers don't read the scripts or something. I'm not really sure how that whole situation works, but he probably regrets doing it after the fact. Either way, good job on you, Ennio, for being the bright, shining star in all this darkness. So we finally get our villain of the film, Queen Gedrin, who gets her budget WWE intro.
If you smell it's Conan.
My God, King, will you listen to the ovation? These fans in Greensboro, thousands.
Gedrin is played by Sandahl Bergman, who, funny enough, played Valeria, Conan's love interest, 3 years earlier in Conan the Barbarian. Queen Gedrin, dressed in her best Tina Turner Beyond Thunderdome / Phantom of the Opera costume, comes in and orders her men to remove the Lochnar. Unfortunately for these guys, they find out real quick that if men touch this thing, they fucking disintegrate. On a side note, the guys who lift this thing out of its hole, their helmets are wildly impractical. How the fuck are you supposed to battle anybody in that thing? I mean, yeah, I guess nobody's gonna get to your head with a sword swing or anything, but you ain't gonna hit anybody either. You can't see shit. Like I said, lots of big headgear. Gedrin turns to one of her female companions and commands her to touch it.
Touch it. Touch it.
Touch it! This is my kind of lady. And what do you know?
So it is true. Only women may touch it.
Yes, Gedrin. Yes, it's true. After Gedrin's forces secure the Lochnar and take it away, she is asked what to do with all the surviving Amazonians. And this is a fucking baller-ass move. She has their asses all dumped into this big hole that they were gonna put the Lochnar in, and just closes it up, sealing them in there forever. Pretty fucked up, Gedrin. Pretty fucked up for sure. I like how this guy almost lost his helmet and just totally keeps it cool. Ridiculous headgear strikes again. But she missed one, and this runaway gets through a secret door in the side of the building and takes off, and Gedrin's men follow in pursuit. Run, bitch, run! So Arnold finally rolls up and he sees our mysterious escapee running from the horde. And I just gotta say, while the score here is actually really cool, it seems way too epic for what's going on. Sure, it's a chase scene and all, and that could be epic, but the way that it's portrayed on screen is just pretty low energy. Great score, just not very good filmmaking. Our mysterious escapee decides to go ziplining between it all and takes an arrow to the knee, to the back. But she hangs on for just enough time to land in those big, beefy, soft beefcake arms of Arnold. We get a quick little action scene of Beefcake fighting off the horde that was following her, and of course, it's motherfucking Conan, so he brings the motherfucking violence. All that other stuff may have been fairly bloodless, but when it comes to Beefcake Schwarzenegger, when he swings his sword, the blood flows. And we get a couple of pretty bloody sword swipes and a beheading. Still not Conan the Barbarian levels of violence here, but things are looking up. For the moment, at least. It's at this point that we get to see some of the movie's really odd editing choices. There's parts of of this movie throughout, quite a few of them in fact. It seems like they left a little bit at the beginning or end of a shot that should have been trimmed off. Like this part where Conan's just kind of standing there like he's waiting for the director to yell action, and then he does. They would usually trim that off, but here they just said fuck it, leave it on there. We get odd little edits like this throughout the movie, and it's really weird. Mysterious escapee lets Mysterious Beefcake Wanderer know that there's a talisman that has been stolen by Gidrin, and he must find her sister so that they can reclaim the talisman for reasons and shit. Anyway though, we're about 16 minutes into this Red Sonja movie, and we've had hardly any, if any, Red Sonja, so let's get into some motherfucking Red Sonja. So we get introduced to Sonja as she displays her superior sword fighting skills as she spars with this guy under a giant statue of a guy taking a shit. The Lord of the Shoulder Pads lets her know that she has learned all that she can. She is now a master, the master of the master. And hey, what do you know, just in time, because Beefcake Schwarzenegger rolls up to deliver some tragic news to Sonja that her sister is about to die. But as much as I love the guy, I gotta admit that his bedside manner could use a little bit of work.
Your sister's dying.
So Sonja takes off with this mysterious beefcake, because, I mean, who wouldn't, to find her sister and hopefully save her. Upon arriving to the site of her dying sister, she tries to tell Sonja that, hey, you gotta get this talisman, this stuff has happened, all this and that, but I don't think Sonja's really picking up on how severe this situation is and what's really going on here.
Rest, Vanna. Later we can talk.
Yeah. Later. So Sonja's sister finally passes away, and Arnold Bromschmeiber comes in with that soft bedside manner that he's oh so well known for.
She's dead.
Way to console there, Arnold. You just got away with words, my man. And now we learn that Conan is actually Calidor. Apparently, due to licensing rights, the name Conan couldn't actually be used in this movie, even though this movie is a spin-off of the Conan movies and comics and all that. I'm not even gonna begin to act like I actually know how the fuck that all works out, but who are we really kidding here? This is fucking Conan. And if there was ever any question about that, well, he proves it right here that this is the Conan that we all know and love.
Nobody pays me. And if I think somebody owes me something, I take it.
Stone cold motherfucking pimp. So Sonja and Calidor notice some storms and stuff going on in the distance, and somehow, even though Sonja just now learned about this talisman thing and knows abso-fucking-lutely nothing about it, she knows that these storms and things are going on because the talisman is being used. So Sonja ditches Conan and rides off into the storm towards where the talisman apparently is being used. And it is at this point that we are introduced to Short Round Light, and this kid I fucking hate this kid. I misspoke a moment ago. He's not Short Round Light. We're gonna call him Shit Round. So Shit Round and his servant are like stuck on this rock that's teeter-tottering over some boiling mud. Why in the fuck there is boiling mud here? Who the fuck knows, but it's there and that's where they are. The entire time his poor servant is trying to spin this rock around and save this little asshole's life, he's just constantly berating him, calling him all kinds of insulting names. Sonja rolls up and says, hey, I got this shit. And she spins it around, gets the little kid off, and then the servant is stuck over the fucking mud, and apparently nobody gives any fucks about him, but he ends up getting down as well. And what is Shit Round's response for being saved by this mysterious traveler?
Get back here and stop playing the fool!
This little motherfucker, they should have let his ass fall in the boiling mud. So Sonja asks what the fuck happened here, and they tell her that Gidrin and her army came through and just decimated their city. She asks which way they went, and they say that way, down this toll road, but you don't want to go that way because there's this asshole down there called Brytag, and he ain't so nice. And she says, I'll take the toll road to Brytag. Because why the fuck would you go the easier way when there's some conflict over here to be had? As Sonja departs Shit Round and his faithful servant, she gives this bit of fantastic acting.
May I give you a word of advice? Put him over your knee and beat some manners into him.
And I just gotta say that the acting in this movie is just fucking bad all around, like every bit of it. Schwarzenegger gives the best performance out of everyone in the movie by a long shot, and that is really saying something. Anyway, upon arriving at the toll road of Lord Brytag, we find out that for Sonja to get through, Brytag wants to tag that ass. But she ain't having none of that shit, so she kills the fuck out of his ass. His minions, not really happy about it, so I guess they attack. They kind of just run around her. Nobody is really being that aggressive, honestly, if you look at all the people in the background. And what in the fuck are they wearing? They look like rejects from Return to Oz. Around this time, like a jack-in-the-box of plot convenience, Calidor just peekaboo pops up behind the bad guys just in the nick of time. And Calidor holds off the entire army so that Sonja can escape. But honestly, I don't really feel like these guys are giving it 110%. So yeah, the big strong man had to come and save the woman in the movie about the female empowered character. Kind of feel like that goes against a bit of what the core of the character is all about. But anyway, moving on as we do, Sonja arrives in a forest where she hears a familiar voice. That's right, you thought this little annoying fucker was done with the movie? Oh no, you're so wrong. Apparently Shitround and his faithful servants have been attacked by forest bandits or something like that. But what about that hat though? The movie cruelly teases me with this little shit's possible death, but nope, it can't even give me that sweet bit of solace. Sonja jumps in and starts cutting motherfuckers up bloodlessly, and then when met with the head honcho of these bandit types, she just tells him, talk to the hand. Yeah, sure, great defense. I'm sure that's gonna work. Now as this epic battle is going on, I can't help but wonder, how in the fuck did these two guys get ahead of Sonja? She left before them, but somehow they ended up in front of her. Maybe they took that easier route that I was talking about. Work smarter, not harder, just saying. So after saving their lives, Sonja asks Shitround's servant, why did you leave him? And he says, I had to go hunting. And she says, why didn't you just take him with him? And she gets this.
Tell her, Falcon, that I don't care for hunting.
Little fucking asshole. I'm right here, you son of a bitch. You can talk to me. Anyway, Tina Turner arrives back at her castle with the extremely vague talisman, aka the Lochnar. They take the talisman and store it away in the castle in this room, and god damn, do you have enough fucking candles? As Gedrin and her creepy servant discuss lighting decor, this guy shows up, and what the fuck? This guy...
Enemies are approaching the Outer Empire.
Enemies are approaching the Outer Empire. This fucking movie, man, what the fuck? So Miss Turner keeps them big wheels a-turning and goes into her throne room where we see this giant fucking hairy purring spider that she has a fucking pet. Who the fuck would own that shit? I don't give a fuck how evil you are. There's nobody on earth who thinks that is a good idea or thinks that is cute. Fuck you. Why the fuck is it purring? Tina confers with her wizard, the cable guy, and apparently he puts that shit on the last channel that was up, and oops, somebody's embarrassed. And hey, titties! And everybody loves titties. Man, I love PG and PG-13 movies from the 80s. When he finally adjusts the antenna right, we see Sonja, Shitround, and his faithful servant on the approach. What's love got to do with it? Tells her servant that she wants Sonja here, unharmed. Why? I don't know, but I'm getting some sexual tension vibes here. And no, that's not just me fantasizing. This movie really gives that vibe off. And yes, Gedrin did try and have Sonja killed in the very beginning of the movie, but whatever, detail. We see Sonja and crew cross the world's most metal fucking bridge, and Shitround starts to get out of line, and she is about tired of his shit. So she grabs that little shit and says, I'm finna show this little fucker some ghetto love. But before she is able to do this, Falcon, which is Shitround's servant's name by the way, shows his true BDSM side.
If you must hit someone, then hit me.
Oh yeah, baby. Hit me. Upon setting up camp, Sonja is awakened in the night by strange noises, and she finds Shitround doing his best Star Wars kid impression. And whoa, watch it kid, swinging that thing around, you cut my beard and my hair. And no, I didn't film this video over more than one day, and in between days get a haircut and shave. Anyway, this turns out to be one of the best scenes in the entire fucking movie because Sonja does what we've all been waiting to do to this little fucker since he showed up. So apparently all this little fucker needed was a little bitch slap, and he starts to come around to Sonja. And she gives him some great advice for his teenage years.
You hold the hilt too tight. Grip gently. See?
And Falcon jumps out of hiding with a big fucking bone, take that as you will, because apparently he likes to watch. What the fuck is up with people like Jack in the Box just popping out of fucking nowhere in this movie? Back at Gedrin's place, she's plotting Sonja's demise, and I just gotta ask, what the fuck is up with this guard? I don't feel like that was the best hiring choice. But all HR concerns aside, Gedrin and her schwarmy little sidekick have now devised a plan to unleash on Sonja and crew the machine. What the fuck is that? Well, don't worry, it's coming. So somehow Gedrin is able to summon this storm that forces our heroes to go into this cave where this machine thing lies. And she just so happens to get them to go into this one fucking cave on the road to where they're going. I mean, what are the fucking chances? But whatever. So they sought refuge in this cave, and Shitround, of course, goes deeper into the cave, down into this like water pit thing, and while there, he finds a big fucking pearl. Upon removing this apparently difficult to remove pearl from the mouth of the serpent thing, the machine reveals itself to be a giant metal mechanical snake dragon water thing. I just gotta say, this seems, like many of the things in this fucking movie, very impractical. What are the chances that they would have made it all the way to the back of this cave, gone into this fucking water, gone over to this pearl, and removed it, which it seems to be difficult to remove, triggering this giant monster metal leviathan thing to come out? What if they just never went back there? They just stayed up front until the storm ended? Or what if they went down there and tried and couldn't get the pearl out? Or what if they just said, fuck that shit, I'm not going into this body of water, I don't know what the fuck's in there. You might get fucking typhoid or something in that water, or those fucking penis fish that go up in there and like sprout barbs in your dick or something might be in there. I mean, there's a load of reasons they would not have made it to this fucking pearl and taken it out. But they did, and the big mechanical leviathan snake monster comes out and they do battle. Now honestly, this creature doesn't really look that bad until it comes out of the water. What the fuck is that shit? Jesus Christ. What the fuck am I watching? So Conan, Calidor, shows up just in the nick of time once again to flail around in the water with the giant styrofoam dragon for a while. This fucking scene lasts for more than 6 whole minutes, and it's just them splashing around in some water the whole time with this little dragon thing popping out here or there. After splashing around in the water for a while, they come to the conclusion that since they can't kill the dragon, they must blind it. Because, you know, that's what you do, and that's the next logical step, I guess. This seems to make the creature even more dangerous, apparently, but somehow they escape, and, well, that's the end of the scene. So back at the camp, Beefcake Calidor reveals that he's somebody that has something to do with the talisman that has really absolutely no fucking bearing on the story whatsoever. After revealing this, Calidor feels as if he's in there, so he shows that his pimp moves are strong. But not strong enough because Sonja is playing hard to get. In turn, she reveals to him that no man shall have her unless he can beat her in a fair fight. So like, marriage? Now this is a part of the movie that is a bit vague, and I didn't really pick up on the first time I watched it, but apparently the lore is that Sonja has like this superhuman strength and she's really good with the sword. But if she lays with a man who hasn't defeated her in battle, then she'll lose all those superpowers and strength. Not that she has all this skill and everything because she trained really hard for a long time and had determination, but no, it was given to her overnight, and if she fucks a dude that hasn't proven himself, she'll lose it. This movie is losing a lot of its credibility in the strong female character department as the minutes go. Anyway, Calidor decides that I'm your man, so he fights for that pussy. And I actually kinda do like this fight in the movie, because it does show that sword fighting can be really exhausting, and it also shows that Calidor really isn't Conan, because if he were, he would just
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
But what do you know, shock and awe, after all is said and done, it's a draw. For now, that is. Upon finally arriving at the castle, they leave Sonja's biggest simp, Shitround, outside, and they climb the treacherous foam wall, dodging styrofoam blocks all the while. After gaining access to the castle, we get like 10 fucking minutes of just characters crawling around in tunnels, walking around talking, nonsensically yelling, and a couple of kind of low-energy battles. We finally see Gedren's little sidekick lackey guy trying to take a bunch of gold and escape, and he gets met with Shitround. And they do battle, and we get the second best scene in this entire fucking movie. Yes, that just doesn't get old. One more time. You little shit! The respect I have for this bad guy character just raised about 10 notches after this scene. Unfortunately for him though, things don't end well, and he falls over as this extremely slow door rolls over him, doing him in. I mean, really, man, I feel like you could have rolled out of the way. It's not a very thick door, and it's going really fucking slow. Oh, there it is. Sonja runs through the halls of the crumbling palace looking for Gedren, and we get this face.
Gedren! Where are you?
One more time.
Where are you?
Where are you? I just gotta say that this face is everything. And so Sonja finally confronts Gedren, and we get an epic battle of epic proportions. But before we do that, we have to have epic monologuing. And I just gotta say that the dialogue in this prelude to battle is especially nonsensical and bad. Like, I mean, they're saying words and I guess sentences, but none of it really has any meaning whatsoever. They're just shouting shit at each other. It doesn't have to make sense. It's all about the intensity. And the delivery, well, It's an hour and 15 minutes into this thing, so it's what to be expected at this point. As the battle rages, Gedrin suddenly starts to teleport around the room, and Sonya just chases her around for a few minutes. And then randomly, Gedrin's personal S&M gimp attacks Sonya. I don't know where the fuck this guy came from. He hasn't been in the movie the entire time, but that's exactly what he is. He's pretty much a gimp without the mask. He's got the whole leather straps thing going on and all that. Who knows who the fuck he is, but he just shows up, attacks her, she flips him over and kills his ass. I mean, hey, everybody's got to get work in Hollywood, so I mean, I guess Red Sonja S&M gimp is as good as any other role. So we get more low-rent fighting for a few minutes, and then they end up in the room with the Lochnar. Sonya's friends show up behind a gate and start to distract her in the middle of a fucking sword battle. Probably not the best idea, guys. Finally, Gedrin is defeated by Red Sonja and does a golem into the fires of Mount Doom. Man, them special effects are fucking awesome. Sonja takes the Lochnar and throws it into the pit as well, not really knowing if that's going to destroy it or not, seeing as how this is an all-powerful, like, destructive force thing. Sure, throw it in there. I mean, it's not a bad idea, I guess, but seeing as how this thing is all-powerful, what really makes you think that's going to destroy it? But hey, it may or may not have been destroyed. I don't know, she doesn't know, nobody knows, but whatever, moving on. Shit starts blowing up all over the place because that's what happened in movies like this before Skybeams. Movie would totally have a Skybeam if it was made today, and our heroes just barely escape. Well, it's not a Skybeam, but it is a fire beam. Does that count? So they killed the queen, blew up the castle, and generally fucked shit up, but they just kind of forgot about the Lochnar talisman thing. I mean, yeah, I guess she tried to destroy it by throwing it into the lava, but it's not really sure if she did. So essentially, they failed their mission. But Calidor gets to kiss Sonya right here at the end. So that means, of course, he got that ass. And that is the end of that. Thank fucking God. This movie kinda sucked. There's a reason that this movie is not held in such good regard as the Conan movies, and that's because it's nowhere near as good as they are. Even the second Conan movie that definitely has its faults. Red Sonja, the movie that is, pales in comparison to those movies. The character herself may be cool. I don't really know. I haven't followed the comics it's based on. But if that is true, this movie absolutely did not do that character justice. Beyond the Sonya Calidor fight that's done about halfway through the movie, none of the fights are done very well, and overall, it's just pretty uninspired and low quality. There's a distinct lack of blood, and the dialogue and performances are pretty bad across the board, with the exception of Schwarzenegger, oddly enough. The score is good, like really good actually, but at times, it doesn't really fit the tone of what's going on screen. I don't really blame the score so much as that, as the people putting the fucking movie together. It only clocks in at about an hour and 28 minutes, so it's not like particularly long, but man, it feels really long. This movie felt like it was 2.5 hours long. While I can get down with some cheese, especially some 80s cheese, I just could not get into this thing. It's not even so bad it's good, it's just boring, which is pretty sad because it's coming off the Conan movies, which even the second one not being all that great was never boring. The movie looks cheap, it feels cheap, and overall, like I said, it's just pretty boring. And at best, it's really only worth checking out on USA Up All Night.
It's not worth it.
Hi, I'm Gilbert Godfrey.
Hi, it's Miranda on USA.
It's so big.
It's just not worth it.
So yeah, not like a total absolute dumpster fire, but man, it ain't far from it. If you love the Conan movies, I guess this movie is worth checking out just for that and the fact that Conan, more or less, shows up in the movie, but don't look for much out of this one. So there it is, guys, my review of Red Sonja. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys. And possibly check out my top tier and become a bad motherfucker, like my man Marge G and Silverlock. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, unspecified fantasy land due to copyright legalities. So yeah, I know it's been a while since I did this series, and for quite some time I was doing it weekly, and then, you know, I went just a little bit of time, like, I don't know, 6 months. But I'm back! Just like my video game movie review series, I got a break in there because I hit a movie that just really broke me and I didn't want to talk about, and that would be this movie. But I'm back on track now, and these should be coming out approximately weekly moving forward. And next week, it's time to throw them bras on your head and make them tatas bigger with science of the weird variety. Yeah, you didn't even know that shit was based on a comic book, did you?